Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, isn't it? Because of that, we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean that we are going to stop learning. We are going to meet here regularly through the virtual training center to learn many lessons in EVS. So come on, let's go to a lesson in EVS. Come on children, let's start with a new lesson in standard 4th EVS 2. And today we are going to start with a very interesting lesson. We have seen so many lessons till now about the struggle that Shivaji Maharaj had to undergo in order to achieve Swaraj. So today we are going to come to a lesson where we will see how he got very close to establishing Swaraj. And how did he do that? He did that by crowning himself as the king. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be lesson number 15, which is going to be about a memorable ceremony. So what is this memorable ceremony? This memorable ceremony is the ceremony where Shivaji Maharaj had himself crowned as the king. Okay, so now before we go to this memorable ceremony, let's, like we always do a quick recap of what we learned in the previous lesson. So when we did lesson number 14, we saw how Shivaji started making plans for the recapture of Kondana. Now Kondana was in the Mughal hands, and both Jijabai as well as Shivaji Maharaj were very worried because Kondana was in enemy hands, as Kondana was a very strong fort, and they thought that it is not safe to leave such a strong fort in enemy hands. And that is why, what did they want? They wanted to recapture it. So Shivaji Maharaj started making plans for recapturing the fort of Kondana. Then we see how Tanaji Malusare was, you can say, taken. Shivaji Maharaj took the help of Tanaji Malusare, or you can in another words say that Tanaji Malusare volunteered. He offered his help and his services in order to capture the fort of Kondana. Okay, now we will learn a little bit about Tanaji Malusare. We learned in the lesson that time that he wanted to perform the wedding or marriage of his son Raiba. But what was the oath that Tanaji Malusare took? He said, I shall first perform the marriage of Kondana by capturing it. Raiba's wedding can wait. You must allow me to lead this campaign and give me your blessings for its success. So this is what Tanaji wanted from Shivaji. And likewise, Shivaji agreed to allow Tanaji to lead this particular campaign for recapturing the Kondana fort. And then Tanaji, he laid down his plans, okay, and he took charge of the campaign and he left for Kondana. Then we saw the entire story about how Tanaji made plans, okay, and he reached the top of the fort. He was supported by his brother Suryaji. Now Tanaji entered the fort and he fought like a brave lion. And Udaybhan, who was the officer in charge of the fort, was also very brave. He attacked him, and now both were brave. So the battle between them was very fierce. Okay, but unfortunately, what happened was both of them were mortally wounded. Mortally wounded means they were very badly injured, and they fell down fighting, and they lost their lives. Okay, now after Shivaji Maharaj heard this, he was heartbroken. He was very sad, both he as well as Jijabai. And what did they say? They were grief stricken. Okay, that means they could not control their grief. They did not know how to express their grief. And what were the words which Shivaji Maharaj uttered for Tanaji? He said, Gad ala Pansinha Gela. That is, the fort was captured, but the lion is dead. And then we also saw how the fort of Kondana became Sinhagad in memory of the great warrior who gave up his life to recapture it. So this was a story that we learned in the previous video. Now let us see what Shivaji Maharaj did. What did he did? He set up a memorable ceremony for himself. Okay, he decided that he is going to have the ceremony in order to crown himself as the king. And why did Shivaji have himself crowned? There were a variety of reasons for this as to why Shivaji Maharaj decided to crown himself as king. So let's see the story of how and why Shivaji crowned himself as the king. Shivaji had taken the oath of Swaraj in the temple of Raireshwar. We all know this. We saw this in the beginning of this textbook, how Shivaji Maharaj took the oath of Swaraj in the temple of Raireshwar. And was it an easy journey for him, children? No, it was not at all an easy journey for Shivaji Maharaj. He had to face numerous difficulties and calamities in his efforts to win Swaraj for his people. And we saw that he lost a number of his brave men. And he was really very sad that this was happening. Now, we just saw in the previous lesson about Tanaji, we talked about Murar Baji, we talked about Baji Prabhu Deshpande. So, Shivaji Maharaj had to lose so many of his brave Sardars. Okay, so he had to face numerous difficulties and calamities in order to win Swaraj for his people. What did he do but? With great courage and skill, Shivaji overcame them all. Now Swaraj had stepped out of its childhood and it was growing fast. That is Swaraj. Imagine if Swaraj was a human being. Now when all these people were sacrificing their lives, when Baji Prabhu Deshpande was sacrificing his life, when so many struggles were happening, Swaraj was still a baby. But now Swaraj was growing up. Okay, now very soon Swaraj was going to be established in Maharashtra. And who were the people who were responsible for all this? Men like Baji Prabhu, men like Murar Baji, and men like Tanaji. They had nursed it with their blood. The new kingdom was both respected and feared. They had a lot of fear. People had a lot of fear as well as respect for the new kingdom. Respect from whom? Respect from the people of Maharashtra. And who were the people who were fearing this new kingdom? The enemies like the Mughals, the Adil Shah, etc. They were in fear of this new kingdom which was emerging. Okay, the new kingdom you will see was both respected and feared. Now, what did Shivaji Maharaj do? With a view to having this kingdom recognized by all other princes in the land, big and small, Shivaji decided to have himself crowned. Because unless and until a kingdom has a king, it is not recognized by people. Okay, so once Shivaji decided that I am going to become the king of this place, then naturally he will also be counted among the other kings, among the other princes of the area. So after hundreds of years, a king was born in Maharashtra who would treat all religions equally and give justice and happiness to his subjects. So this was after how many years? After hundreds of years. In Maharashtra, a person was born who would give justice, who would give happiness to his people. And that is the reason that Shivaji decided to have himself crowned, so that everyone would come to know that Swaraj had been firmly established. Okay, he wanted the entire nation to know. He wanted everyone to know. He wanted all his enemies to know that Swaraj had been established. He did not do it for self-glorification or for personal happiness. He did not do it because he wanted a big name for himself. He wanted people to know him as a king. He did not do it for that. He did it for the sake of the people. He did it to give the newly founded Swaraj a firm footing. So this is the reason why Shivaji had himself crowned. Now whenever there is a kingdom, whenever there is a king, they have to decide about a particular place from which this entire kingdom will be ruled. For example, now in India, okay, which is the capital of India? New Delhi is the capital of India. So the government of India has its base in New Delhi. From there, they rule the entire country. As far as Maharashtra is concerned, what is the capital of Maharashtra? Mumbai is the capital of Maharashtra. So the government is set in Mumbai. So now Swaraj also needed a capital. So now let's see about the capital of Swaraj. So which was selected as the capital of Swaraj? Shivaji selected Raigad as the capital of his kingdom. Raigad was a strong hill fort from where it was easy to administer the kingdom and keep a watch on the enemy. Okay, so it was very, you can say, a very strategic fort, a very important fort, because it was strong also, and it was very easy for the king to keep a watch on his enemies. That is very important. Okay, you should be aware of what is going on around you, especially the movement of your enemies. So this place, Raigad, was perfect for that, and that is why Shivaji established his capital in Raigad. What did Shivaji do? Shivaji inspected his troops at Chiploon also. And then what did he do? He visited Pratapgad and took the goddess Bhavani's darshan. Okay, so he did all these things so that Swaraj would get a firm holding. Swaraj would become something which is very concrete. So he went and he took darshan from goddess Bhavani. And what did he do? He also presented a golden canopy for the goddess. There was this temple and there was a canopy. What did he do? He covered the canopy with gold. So this is why Shivaji Maharaj had himself crowned as a king, and then he selected Swaraj as his capital. Now, there are some more points remaining in this lesson, children. Let us look at a few more, and then we will do the remaining part of the lesson in the next video. So come on, let's take this a little bit forward and let us try and understand what were the preparations which were made for the coronation. So the coronation is a kind of a ceremony where they do a little bit of puja part, and where they worship certain gods, and they seek the blessings of elders, they seek the blessings of parents, they seek the blessings of God, etc. So there was a very elaborate, you can say, preparation which was going on for the coronation. Like you have any function at home, there is a lot of preparation which happens, isn't it? You do a lot of shopping, you decorate your house. So in the same way, there were a lot of preparations which were happening for the coronation. Okay, so now what were the preparations which were happening for the coronation? Whom all did Shivaji Maharaj invite to be part of his coronation ceremony? And all these things let us see now. So Shivaji Raje, what did he do? The first thing he did was he ordered a golden throne to be made. Alright, and this golden throne had precious stones studded in it. So can you see the throne? See, it is a golden throne with lots of beautiful precious stones on it. So this is the place where Shivaji Maharaj would sit and rule the country. What did he do then? He put on a white royal umbrella over the throne. And then invitations to the coronation were sent out to princes and kings, learned Brahmins, all the Sardars under his command, and all officers. Now there was a person who would conduct the ceremony. So for that he invited Gaga Bhatt. He came all the way from Varanasi to act as the chief priest at the ceremony. Now Gaga Bhatt, he originally belonged to a place called Paitan in Maharashtra, but he had settled down in Varanasi. He was a great and renowned scholar, and he was respected also in Varanasi. That is why Shivaji Maharaj invited him to become part of the celebrations and to take charge of the celebration. So all this, children, you will see happened. Why? Because Shivaji Maharaj wanted to establish Swaraj in Maharashtra. So now we are talking about preparations for the coronation. Now let us come back next time and let us see how the actual ceremony took place. Alright, so that is all for today, children. In today's lesson, what did we do? We revised a little bit of what we learnt last time, and we talked about the reasons why Shivaji Maharaj decided to have himself crowned. And we also talked about how and why he selected Raigad as the capital of Swaraj, and we also looked at the preparations which were made in order to go or to carry out the coronation. Okay, so now when we meet next time, we will take the story forward. In the meanwhile, I want you to watch the entire video and try to solve the exercises and do the tasks which I have set for you. So children, now you have watched the video. So after you watch the video now, you will have to complete a few simple tasks. Now you might have watched the video on your computers or your laptops or your mobile phones. Now after you watch the video, what will you do? You will please go to the description box which is given below the video. So what is the description box? See, the description box looks like this. Alright, and after you go to the description box, you will see that there are a few questions there. Now what are these questions about? These questions are about the lesson that we just learned or the video that you just watched. So what will you do? You will think back properly about the lesson and you will try and answer these questions and note down the answers in your notebook if you want. Okay? After that, we have another task waiting. You will also click on the link which you will find in the description box to fill up the Google form. So now what is the Google form, children? It is nothing but a simple form. There are a few simple questions there about the video which you just saw and also about yourself. So these are the tasks now that you will have to complete after you watch each video. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learned a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.